What's up guys, my name is Ace and welcome back to Spawn Guides, the series where I analyze all of the spawn locations as well as their behavior on every map in Advanced Warfare for Team Deathmatch as well as Domination. In today's episode, we're going to be covering the map Ascend. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so as always, let's start it off with Team Deathmatch. So Ascend is kind of a strange map as far as spawns go for Team Deathmatch. The main reason for this is it's a linear shaped map, like it's very narrow and rectangular, and you would typically expect a this is your side, this is my side kind of a map as far as spawns go, because it is so linear. This map does not actually play out that way, and that's where a lot of the confusion comes from on this map as far as spawns. So if we look at the spawn points here, the bigger spawns are the primary spawns, and these are the ones you'll expect to see most of the time. And then all the small spawns are spawns that you still see every now and then, but they're not really super common. They're not nearly as likely as the bigger spawns. And normally with a linear map, you have 3 or 4 spawns on either end of the map, and those will be the primary spawns, and then sometimes you'll have some secondary spawns spread throughout the middle of the map in between the two ends. With this one, it's that left side of the map that you really have to be aware of. That's where the B domination point is, that big circular area there. There are some primary spawns in here, and this is what can definitely throw things off. So you might think that they'll be spawning on the opposite end, when really they're spawning to your left or to your right. They're spawning inside that circle there. So that's something to always have in mind while playing Team Deathmatch on this map. If you don't have teammates inside that circular area where the B domination flag is, then it's very likely that enemies can spawn there rather than at one of the ends of the map where you would normally expect them to spawn. So bringing up the zones for this map, I'll just go over this really quick. Basically what the zones mean is if there's an enemy in one of these zones, it's highly unlikely that your team will be able to spawn at any one of the spawns within that zone, because those spawns will be blocked off by enemy proximity. So essentially we have the purple and blue zone kind of on the top side of the map, we have the red and the yellow zone on the bottom side of the map, and then on the left side we have the green, and on the right side is kind of that teal color zone. Most linear maps play out with just the normal top side and bottom side spawns with some secondary spawns in the middle, like I already explained. This is the one where you really have to be aware of that green zone. If you have nobody occupying that green zone, enemies can definitely spawn there. As far as the teal zone goes, this is usually a zone that you'll get spawns on this zone when you have enemies that are pushed up behind into your main spawns, like into the blue spawns or the purple spawns. This is where you'll start to get that teal spawn. And this is usually a really good indicator. If you spawn there, or if you notice that teammates are spawning there, it's very likely that an enemy has gotten on your flank and is coming for you from behind there. So be ready to challenge people that are behind you. Another really important thing to point out, and this one got me killed a lot until I figured this out, is on the bottom zone, where you have the red zone and the yellow zone. It's actually very small zones. You might notice that these zones seem very small. You can get quite close to these spawns and enemies will still spawn there because they're down below and they're typically out of a line of sight from people that are up above in the standard areas there. So if you're in that yellow zone, a lot of the times you might think that your enemy's spawning like way over on the blue side of the map, like on the opposite end. But if your teammates push in there, they can easily flip the spawns into the red zone, basically right behind you, and you'll just get shot in the back and you'll have no idea what hit you, unless you're aware of the fact that enemies can spawn there even if you're in pretty close proximity to them. So always be aware of that when you're in the red or yellow zone. It's very easy for enemies to spawn in the zone right next to you. So that pretty much covers it for Team Deathmatch. If you're just aware of all of those things, then there shouldn't be any issues as far as spawns go. Let's move on to the domination spawns. And as you can see when we bring up the spawn map, it's a little bit cluttered on this map. There's kind of spawns everywhere, so it does take a little bit of looking at it and really analyzing it before you can truly understand how they work. So let's start it off with the C flag spawns, because these are the easiest ones to understand for domination. You have 2 primary spawns on the very top of the map, so the top right corner and then kind of towards the top left corner. These are the ones that you'll be spawning at when there's no pressure on your spawns and it's just the standard C spawns. The other spawns, the other yellow C spawns, the smaller ones, these ones are your secondary spawns, and this typically occurs when you start to get a little bit of pressure on your spawns. So if somebody pushes from the B flag, for instance, into that building on the left or top left-hand side of the map as you're looking at it now, it's very likely your spawn will maybe get pushed over towards the right-hand side of the map, possibly to one of those secondary spawns on the right-hand side of the map. So if you spawn at one of those spawns, just be aware that almost definitely means somebody is pushing from the B side of the map towards your C flag. So it's probably a good idea to turn around. Moving on to the B flag, I actually like to treat this B flag as if it were just another flag. Normally the B flag is this flag where you don't really have super sticky spawns and you won't be spawning at those B spawns for too long, but I treat this one just as if it were another A or C spawn on this map. Because as long as nobody pushes into that circular area there, I guess it's that space elevator, it's the building that the B flag is in. As long as no one pushes in there, enemies will keep spawning in there if they only hold the B flag. And you can essentially spawn trap enemies inside that building quite easily, and you only have really 3 or 4 points to watch to keep them inside there. As soon as someone pushes though, that's when they almost definitely push out to those purple spawns on the bottom left of the map. And you might be wondering why it's purple. Well, these spawns are actually shared spawns between the B and the A flag. So these spawns you'll spawn at if you only hold the B flag, and you can also spawn at these spawns if you only hold the A flag. So always be aware of that. These aren't specifically attached to either one of those spawns. So if your enemy team, for instance, holds only the B flag and you push in towards the B flag, this is almost definitely where their spawns push to. They push way outside there between the B and the A flag to those purple spawns. So just be ready for that. When you push into that B flag, that's almost definitely where your enemies are going to be coming from. So just be aware of that. As for the A flag, the most common spawn that you're going to get is way in the bottom right-hand corner there. It's actually down a little ramp at the bottom of the ramp. And then the other one that's relatively popular and you'll still spawn at if there's no pressure on your spawns is the one just at the base of the stairs. It's actually just above that last spawn that I had mentioned, a little bit closer towards the A flag. Now you'll notice the A flag also has 4 secondary spawns. The 2 secondary spawns kind of towards the bottom right corner of the map, these 2 are relatively common and I wouldn't really think about them too much if you get them. It doesn't necessarily mean that an enemy is putting much pressure on you, but it's the other 2 spawns that are pushed up a little bit more towards the C flag. So there's one that's actually touching the A on the map as you're looking at it right now. And then there's the one that's inside the building kind of at the mid-map area. These are the spawns that should definitely get you thinking if you or your teammates start spawning here. This essentially means that you have enemies pushed up blocking the primary spawns of the A flag, and that means there's enemies behind you. So be ready for those guys as they come up behind you there. On the other end of that, like I was saying earlier, if you get one of those purple spawns, which like I said, you can also spawn at if you only hold the A flag, you don't necessarily need to be holding B and A. If you spawn at one of those purple spawns and you only hold the A flag, that almost definitely means that you have enemies putting pressure directly surrounding the A flag area, and that means you're likely going to start losing that A flag very soon if you haven't already started losing it. So be ready to go back to defend the A flag or do whatever the situation demands, but just know there are going to be enemies near the A flag. So that's going to wrap it up for today's episode of Spawn Guides. Let me know in the comment section below which one of the maps you'd like to see me cover next, and keep in mind I'll also leave a link to the playlist and all of the spawn guides that I've done so far, just in case you guys have missed any. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.